Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing and the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your host, Angie Scott and Barb Carey.
Welcome to another episode of the Woman Angler and Adventurer. This is your co-host Barb Carey and Angie Scott's back in Tennessee, winning fishing tournaments. And I am about to launch my boat on Lake Michigan and go chase some salmon and trout. And if you can, watch this episode on our YouTube channel because it's also a video with some pretty exciting stuff of my boat flying across Lake Michigan and us catching fish and running into hazards. So check it out right now or watch it on Waypoint TV. But I like to invite a couple of my friends along when I go. This time we were out of Racine, Wisconsin. Salmon fishing is just so intense for me. There's so much prep work and I'm still learning. I've been a captain for a couple of years now and I just go crazy. It's so exciting when you're catching fish out there and there's nothing like it. So if you haven't done it, give it a try. This was a beautiful day that we were out. We were catching fish and my friends each got to reel in some nice big fish and we had a couple of close encounters that were quite interesting and unusual, but it is the ports all along with Lake Michigan, both sides are amazing. And this time we launched out of Racine, and while we were out there, we were about 4 or 5 miles out, and there was a big log floating in the water. And all across our nation this year, this has been huge flooding problems, and that's creating all these hazards in the water because things are being washed into rivers and they're flowing into all the lakes. So I was quite surprised to see this big log floating next to us, and I was really happy that we didn't hit it when we were running full speed or none of our lines got tangled in it. And but it just goes to show you always have to be mindful when you're on the water. Other boats, I mean, we had this sailboat that I don't know what their problem was, but they were coming right towards us, and you know, we're pulling 8 or 9 lines and, you know, downrigger balls and stuff. You just can't turn on a dime to avoid someone without... So it was kind of hairy there for a while. I think he was having trouble with his sail. The name of his boat was not a clue. And I said, hey, buddy, your name's appropriate anyway. But, you know, there's always some adventure that happens when you're out fishing. And that's kind of the fun part about it. I mean, you're creating these memories. I remember my friends looking over at that sailboat, hoping it would be able to turn away before it kind of got right in front of us. And I'm glad we didn't have to hit the throttle and
that was rude.
Avoid a disaster. But, you know, there's situations that come up that are tense. But it all ended well. We were all able to catch some fish. It was a glorious day out there. A little more windy than I liked it to be, you know. That's always a challenge, you know, the waves are coming, my friend's reeling in a fish, I'm trying to balance on the boat, leaning against the motor, trying to get the fish in the net, and, you know, everything is so exciting when you're out on big water. Salmon fishing.
We got it!
It's in my, even to talk about it, I get goosebumps. And the fish that you're catching are absolutely delicious. It's a put and take fishery. This lake is stocked with salmon and trout, and they're absolutely delicious. So it's one place that you can go and catch fish and harvest them and eat them and not feel bad about affecting the fishery. You know, I'm a big catch and release proponent, but these fish are, you know, they stock them for us to catch them and for us to eat them. And all of these ports along Lake Michigan have these cleaning stations. It makes it so easy that you take the guts and the remains, and they have these grinders that grind them up, so you can rinse all your coolers out and put them in a plastic bag. Next thing you know, you're home preparing your fish for your meal. And whether you're grilling or smoking or however you prepare this, it is delicious. And we want to share some of the ways that we prepared our fish that we caught. Hi, this is Barb Carey from the Woman Angler and Adventure podcast, and I want to thank everybody for subscribing and following us because we really appreciate it. But tonight I'm going to talk about smoking fish because we've been fishing on Lake Michigan on this awesome salmon and trout bite, and we have some great salmon and trout that we want to smoke. I'm going to bring it to my dad's 90th birthday. So the brine, whenever you're smoking, you have to brine something first. And this is a really good brine I found. It's by, it's just gourmet fish brine mix, and it's by High Mountain. They make a variety of things like beef jerky stuff and all sorts of meat processing and fish processing products. But this is the one that I found that I like the best. They sell it at grocery stores and everything. So here what I have is I have some lake trout and some rainbow trout. And if you can see here, this is rainbow trout. It's kind of pinker, real silvery skin on the back. This other stuff here is lake trout. It's more of a yellow color with the skin still on the back, and that has more oil and fat in it. But before we put this in the smoker, we're going to have to brine it. And you can't use a metal container. You have, the preferable thing to use is a big ceramic pot, you know, like those old crocks. I don't have, these are the only crocks I have. I don't have one of those big smoker crocks. So we're going to use this Orion cooler because it's not metal. It'll keep the ice water for 24 hours with no problem. So I have a gallon of water and a bunch of ice in one of these packets out of this box in there, and I mixed it all up. So now I'm just going to place all this fish in here, and I'm going to leave it in here for 24 hours. But I'm going to kind of stir it up and mix them up a little bit and make sure that they're getting it all soaked up appropriately. And what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to finish off this video, or continue the video, when we put it in the smoker. Now, I am an amateur smoker, but the person behind the camera doing the filming is actually BadgerFarmGirl YouTube channel, and she's a very experienced smoker, and she's got a Weber, what is it, Kim?
Smoky Mountain.
Smoky Mountain smoker. She oftentimes smokes big pork shoulders for some of our fishing group events. And so she's going to do the actual smoking. I just did the catching and the brining. So we're going to continue this video tomorrow. Once we get it in the smoker, we are going to leave it in this brine and go fishing tomorrow again and try to get some more. But this is, I'm just going to mix all these in, make sure that they're all not sticking together. It's going to stay cold. It's going to stay all ice watery overnight. I'm going to leave it for 24 hours. And then we will continue this in 24 hours and show you the next phase of the process. So now we're on to the next phase of the smoking. So it is soaked in the brine for 24 hours. And that was the recommendation on the brand of brine that I chose. You know, if you look online, there's a ton of different recipes. Some of them may have different amounts of time that you're supposed to brine them. This said 24 hours, so that's what we did. So one of the big things after you brine is you got to rinse. So we're just going to put these fillets right into the sink we just cleaned. They're still ice cold from being in this cooler. And that worked great. This makes like great gifts, you know, if you have some of this and smoke it and give it away to people. I mean, you can't buy food this good. If you can, it's pretty expensive. I can't believe how cold this water is from still. It's seriously freezing. I gotta warm up my hands. Can't say enough about this Orion cooler. Okay, now, whatever recipe you use, it's recommended that you really rinse the fillets off. Especially a couple of recipes I've used, they've had a lot of salt. So once I get it rinsed, I'm going to just put it on some cookie sheets. And lightly oiled the cookie sheets just to get a little bit of oil on that fish skin. So when I put it on the smoker, it doesn't stick. Good. So we have our 2 trays ready to go here. You can tell the difference still between the lake trout, which is this oranger, yellower stuff, and then this is the rainbow trout. So they have the same brine. It'll be interesting to taste them to see what the flavor differences are. And we're going to put this in the refrigerator and just let it chill. And then it's going to kind of develop almost like a glaze on it, and then we're going to fire up the smoker and get it ready to go. And later tonight we'll be having smoked fish, so it's delicious. We'll see. Well, we had a great day salmon fishing yesterday. We didn't get big numbers, but the fish we caught are going to be absolutely delicious. So right here, this is one of our friends that was with us, took some of the fish home. This is what we have left. Kim and I are going to split this up. So this is what we're going to eat tonight, and we have each 2 fillets of coho salmon and lake trout. This is what we're going to store for a future meal, and we're going to show you the food saver method we use to freeze these. But one thing to mention about fish, and salmon and trout in particularly, you can see these 2 sections, like this section here, this is a tail section, and that will have no bones in it at all. These center sections, even though the fish was filleted, there are pin bones that are in this salmon. And they run right along here. You can feel them with your finger. I have seen on some YouTube videos where they take tweezers and pull those out. I've tried that. I really haven't had much luck. But when you grill this fish or bake it, it flakes apart so easily that it's not hard to miss the bone. I mean, it just, the meat flakes right off it. But if you have children or people that are really anti-bone and they're afraid of getting a fish bone in their food, give them the tail section, because that will be completely bone-free. But these, that's a little thicker portion of meat. It's just, this food is absolutely delicious. So we're going to actually show you the process. There's different ways to season it. One method I like is a ginger teriyaki glaze or marinade on it. You can just use fresh dill from the garden and lemon, and just simple or as extravagant as you want, but it's really super delicious. Now, I'm going to be the first to admit I'm not the best fishmonger, but I do the best I can, and I get better all the time. So these aren't perfect, but I try to trim any excess belly fat that's still on them, or little pieces of the silver skin or stuff that you end up missing in the cleaning process. But this is going to be a delicious dinner tonight. I mean, you have nothing like a piece of grilled fish and a fresh garden salad to make the perfect meal. So stand by. We'll give you some photos of how it looks when it's done. And I'm excited for dinner tonight. So yesterday we were salmon fishing. We just showed you some of those pictures. And last night we prepared the fish in the brine, and you saw that. So now it's the next day, and we're out here ready to smoke the fish. And this is my friend Kim Drana. She's got the YouTube channel called BadgerFarmGirl. She does a lot of stuff for us for Wisconsin Women Fish. She also is the one who smokes really delicious pulled pork shoulder for our fish camp. You know, feeds 75 people. She does a lot of smoking and is a Weber expert. So I wanted her to come on today as a guest and show us how we would go about smoking some of this great fish that we had. And Kim, how long have you been smoking stuff?
Probably like 8-10 years. I started doing it at work for my people, and we just grew and got educated about it and became fun, and it's a lifetime hobby, and it translates to everything.
And I know the stuff I've tasted that you've done has been awesome. And I think one misnomer people have is you have to have this special stuff to smoke, but I know a friend, Shelley Holland, I've had her on the show before. She came to my house one time and had smoked a bunch of bratwurst.
Yeah.
Just, and they were delicious. And you've smoked all sorts of different stuff.
Yeah, you can do turkey, pork shoulders, brisket, all of it, but it's really about time and having the right heat and being able to control that, and you get better over time. And it really has to do with, is it raining today? Is it windy today? And it's all about controlling the vents on this Weber Smoky Mountain. And you got a temperature gauge to help you out, and there's temperature gauges you can use to prevent yourself from opening this lid up, because that's the worst thing you can do. You lift the lid up, you're going to lose 20 minutes of time for that charcoal to get up to the temperature you want to smoke at.
So at the very bottom, there's a bowl of charcoal.
Yeah.
And to get that started, how did you do that? Did you pour lighter fluid on there?
No lighter fluid. So Weber and there's other manufacturers have these chimney starters. This is a small one. There's a little bit bigger one if you're doing steak or doing something for your family, chicken breasts. But the idea is that you put newspaper underneath here, put it on your grill, light it. You go walk away and do your stuff. The misnomer, I think, in the past and when I was growing up, everyone took lighter fluid and just hosed the thing. You got the big flames, and it didn't start the charcoal any faster. It was just you saw big flames and you walked away. But your food ended up smelling like that fuel. Yeah. With this, you don't have to do it. So sometimes I'll start it on this little Weber guy. You put the charcoal in there. I only use 5-6 pieces. Put the newspaper here. Set it on this grill. Light it. Walk away. So it's getting air from the bottom of this thing, and I'm going to do my thing. By the time I come back 5-6 minutes later, I will have 5 or 6 charcoal that are gray, and that's what I want. And then I'll come over. This one's going right now, and I'll show it on this little guy. Inside here is a charcoal ring, and I'll have this filled with charcoal, solid. And I'll take whatever 5 or 6 pieces and put them in the center, and then put this other piece back on, like so. If I'm doing brisket and pulled pork in that, I will take wood chunks and put it on top of there, and I would spread it out. I don't want it to start right away, and I don't soak mine. I don't see a difference.
So the lit ones are in the middle,
Yep.
as they will generally cause the others to
Chain
start.
reaction, which gives you the time to smoke.
So it's a slow process.
Right.
It's long and continual slow process.
Exactly. And the cool thing about these Weber grills, and you'll see on this one, we started this one about a half hour ago, you can access this area. So let's say I'm doing brisket because it takes 12-15 hours. I can add more charcoal to this pretty easy. And I also can see how my charcoal's doing. Right now we're doing good.
I can see how it's just started in the middle and
Yep.
working its way out.
Exactly.
Now, and I know it, when you do the shoulders at fish camp,
Yep.
you can go fish all day.
I
and
can go fish all day, and that's why when I have, even when family comes over and I got to cook for 10 or 12, we come out here because I live in the country. We get so, we're doing stuff and we can't get everyone in the same place at 5 o'clock to sit down and eat. I can finish the pork shoulder, pull them off, wrap them in foil, wrap them in a towel, and put them in a cooler. When everyone's ready to eat, and that might be not 5 o'clock, it might be 7 o'clock, we're still good to go. I can pull it and it will finish inside the cooler. So today we're doing fish. So a little different because we're not going to get to 250 and keep that all day. We're going to go to 180.
Now, right now, the grill is at almost 250, so it's too hot.
Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these vents to get this vent here. I'm going to close this vent here and start to shut off the oxygen. And I'm going to try and get it where this temperature gauge is going to drop. But when I open this to put the fish on, which we'll do here in a minute, it's going to let all that air out. So then I'm going to have to watch it a little bit and try to lock this in at 180.
So this is the brine we used, I mentioned before, the High Mountain Gourmet Fish Brine. And what it says here is you want a temperature of 180 degrees and not to add the smoke for the first 30 minutes. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just kind of follow their recommendations for today's. But don't be afraid to experiment with this stuff. I mean, I know I bought fish before that was, sugar cured and Cajun and pepper, and there's so many options. So once you do it a couple times, you can really tweak it how you want. Yeah. So this is the fish that we ready to put this on.
Yep.
We caught this fish yesterday, We brined it last night, and we're grilling it today on our Sunday Fun Day. And you're going to see it on this week's show on Tuesday, so that's how fresh this salmon is. So, those pieces are the lake trout. And, no, that's the rainbow trout. The pinker stuff. Now this is when last night we oiled the pan, so the bottom of these...
And the skin around the fish.
Yep. The bottom of that skin is a little bit oily, so it's not going to stick. So that's probably what? 2 fish, 1 fish, 2 fish, 3 fish. This is actually a half of a very large rainbow trout and a whole extremely large lake trout. Now we also have Coho salmon that we caught yesterday, and we're going to grill those on the grill for dinner tonight. And I think we'll just show you how we do that too. But look at this. That is, does this have to tuck in here a little bit more?
And this stuff will shrink over time. It's going to start doing its thing. It's tight right now, but it's all going to kind of shrink into place. And now I've got it at, what's the temperature?
180.
All right, so now I got to sit here a little bit and make sure it'll stay that way.
What is this? Is that, so each little line is a 55, 60, 60, yeah, it's 180.
So hopefully now, since I adjusted the air, because it was wide open before, we should be right dead on.
So now, it says don't add any smoke for 30 minutes, so we're not going to peek at it. No peeking.
I'm not peeking anymore.
You can't peek. Except if you want to peek at the charcoal,
then that's where we're going to put
that's where we're going to put the smoke. 30 minutes, we're going to set our timer. Yep. We'll keep monitoring the temperature. If it starts getting too high, we'll cut down the airflow a little bit more.
Yep.
And now we just sit in the lawn chair and have a nice Sunday Fun Day beer on the veranda and wait.
And wait. It's a waiting game now. Go. All right. Is to control the cook of that on the foil. Go ahead.
So the 2 ways we're going to cook up our fish, we have lake trout and coho salmon is what we're cooking. And this one I did with a lemon juice, fresh picked dill, and then pepper blend. And this I did with a teriyaki ginger glaze. And then we're going to be grilling some pineapple, and I did some of the pineapple with the teriyaki ginger glaze and then some just plain. So the tail sections are a lot thicker, so those don't take as long as these mid sections. And we decided to put foil down, so I'm going to put the thicker sections on the hotter part of the grill. The charcoal's more to one side than another, and then I'm going to put these tail sections on the not so hot part of the grill. Boy, that's cooking already. Yum. So, and then we're just gonna put the pineapple on there. I'm gonna put the pineapple right on the grate. I actually should have put the pineapple on earlier, probably. But this is hot, hot, hot. You know, that's one of the keys, whether you're grilling fish, smoking fish, meat, or anything, having the right grill temperature is really important. And you know, it's all about oxygen and opening and closing the vents. And you know, if you haven't cooked or smoked with charcoal, I really recommend, you know, checking that out. Sometimes it's easy to just go for a gas grill, but there's something about grilling on charcoal that just makes things absolutely delicious. So if you get a chance to give that a try, make sure you do it. You know, we had this glorious dinner. I mean, we put our fish on the smoker, and then we grilled up pineapple and coho salmon, which is some of the best eating there is. Lake trout, nothing like fresh fish and salad for dinner, especially that you caught. You know where it came from. Absolutely delicious. We smoked the stuff that we had caught from the day before, and I'm bringing that to my dad's 90th birthday. It is absolutely delicious. If you ever get a chance to come to Wisconsin or Lake Michigan, send me a message, because no matter what port you're in, I probably know someone that I can hook you up to go out with, and it's all part of the adventure is making these memories, and I know this is a day we had with my friends that I'll never forget. Thank you for listening to The Woman Angler and Adventure, and thank you for sharing these podcasts and following us, and we will be back again next week with a brand new episode.